But it is a Football Friday, and the drama on Jerry and Micah really hitting new highs. I go back and forth from being bored and annoyed with this story to, oh my God, look at this. What is next? As Stephen on, or Jerry on the Stephen A. Smith podcast and the Michael Irvin podcast over the last 24, 36 hours or whatever has been outstanding. Jerry saying there's no room for a third. There is no room for your agent to be involved, I think is so rich and interesting. At first I thought, how could you say we're going to do a deal without the agent? But I think, you know, Jerry, these two interview appearances or podcast appearances have really put the picture in the frame better for me. I think the way you can say that is we're really not offering any deal that your agent can get involved with until our options and leverage have expired. And right now we're looking at franchise tags. We got you for 3 years and $85 million. So if you think we're going to open this up to the agent coming in here and pounding down our door and demanding cash, you got another thing coming. The only way we're going to do a multi-year deal right now is with Jerry and Micah talking, or with the agent not being involved at all. And I thought, man, what an SOB of a bargaining position to take. But I just salute it. That's powerful. You know, that's the way you flip and negotiate. And is it ticking off the players? Yes. We saw on America's team, the players have always been ticked off. So I don't think it's like any sort of a competitive disadvantage. I continue to stand in awe of Jerry Jones, the businessman, and how tough he is negotiating this one. Like if the Cowboys have their tag and they're waiting for you, you are in for it, dude, because the only way you can get him out of that is to wait through it or do a deal super team friendly.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. That leverage factor is so huge here, and Jerry absolutely feels like, and rightfully so, that he has pretty much all the leverage in this situation. So if you're going to get the long-term security that you want and reset the market, then you're going to have to do it sort of on my terms a little bit, and you're going to have to give a little bit more than we would if you were an open free agent and we couldn't tag you and all these different things. Now all of a sudden the pendulum of leverage swings in a different direction, and until he loses that, he's got in his mind no reason to play along. And you talk about all the different examples. I mean, I thought it was fascinating hearing him and Michael Irvin talk about the negotiations with the playmaker back in his heyday, and how Jerry's hitting him with the El Paso stuff, saying, I'm going to send you to Cincinnati, and it clearly got contentious, and then they ultimately come to the agreement and everything's fine. And I think the same thing will still apply here. If and when a deal ends up getting done, whenever that may be, they'll hug it out and everything will be fine. But yeah, Jerry's indignant right now. He's like, he's the shark businessman who feels like I have all the leverage, and so I got no reason to play any games with you or your agent.
I am annoyed by the reporting, though. Like, some of these things are just so obvious that people are swinging and missing on. And today we're pretending like it's news that Jerry offered $200 million guarantee. He said that when we were in Oxnard.
He did. Yep.
Like, how do we have such selective amnesia here with facts?
Yeah, he, matter of fact, when we had the opportunity to visit with him and Steven, he was very adamant about that.
Very much so.
He was trying to say, listen, I'm trying to frame this for you guys in a way. Just offered a man $200 million to do a deal, and he was very, very serious. I mean, he looked at each one of us and was, do I need to repeat that number for you guys again? This is what I'm offering, and so, unfortunately they haven't come to an agreement. I think if this thing is going to get done, it's probably going to have to be Micah Parsons, the one that's going to have to go tell David Mulugeta, listen, I need the security. I don't want to play on the tag. Let's go get this deal done. It's going to be close to what the others are, but let's do it. I just need that security. I need the years. I just want to go ahead and get the money. I think that's how this is going to get done. It's going to be Micah Parsons is the one that's going to have to go to Jerry, and I think Jerry's open to the idea. If Micah shows up and they say, okay, we're willing to try and do something here, then now David Mulugeta can step in with, Micah's kind of giving him his blessing to go ahead and, here's the deal, and, let's sign off on a thing. I really do think David Mulugeta is trying to do his best to protect Micah from himself. I think David Mulugeta is probably worried that Micah is going to want to get this thing done and get the security done. He doesn't want to miss those games. He just does not want to miss. And maybe it's not about the money, but he just does not want to have to go through all this. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like I say, the Joneses are just waiting for Micah to be the one that, in fact, is the one that steps out and says, okay, we need to get this done.
I think it's time for that because, the posturing on social media and taking Cowboys off your Twitter bio and posting Iverson audio, that's fun engagement, but it's a distraction. And at some point it starts to look weak that you're asking for. You have to take some kind of action, like tell your agent, or you go the opposite way of, okay, that's fine. I'll just see y'all in free agency. I'm going to put my head down, focus on football. In about 24 months, all the leverage is going to be on my side, and then I'll be, on strong footing and playing back as still very significantly under 30 years old. But I am wondering when his next action is going to take place, because the posturing with no action is fun, but in the end, I think it's going to be tough to enjoy the next 2 years. Like, do you want to be locked in on this constantly, or do you want to focus on football? I think you got to be able to compartmentalize, and now's about the time where it's time to start practicing and not letting this impact your play so you can be eligible for that top of market deal. Yeah,
the security, I think, is really going to be really important to him. And that's why I think, like I said, it's going to be the Joneses they've got a plan for how they want to handle this. And whether you agree with them or not, they're going to wait this player out is what they're going to do. And I just feel like if it's going to get done, it's not going to be about Jerry. It's going to be about that player just saying, hey, okay, I'll take the security. I'll take the money. I've even said I didn't have to have $40 million. Those are his own words, And so the Joneses are probably looking at this like, okay, we don't have to offer him over $40 million. He says he's comfortable doing this, But we've seen some other contracts that have ballooned over $40 million for these edge rushers. So, Micah, they might be using their own words, but I think they're believing that they're capable of playing the long game, and Micah isn't. That's what I mean.
If you want the framework on it, I think you look at Emmett, and I was on episode 3 last night. I think it was. He wanted 17. The Cowboys wanted to do 9.5 or 10. They end up settling at 13.6. So if Micah feels like the market would deliver me 41, but the Cowboys are saying we can get you 3 and 85 with the franchise tags, I think the middle point is actually somewhere around 34 or 35 million dollars. I have a hard time imagining Micah Parsons would want to do that instead of just waiting a couple of years for outright free agency. But to your point, Brian, the long-term but at the same time, you have security with $30 million.
Oh no, but he's looking at it. Maybe he's looking at, and I don't disagree with you, Gavin. Please don't. I'm not going to fight you on this one. But what I'm saying is, though, to me, he's looking at it like, listen, $38 million or $41 million. You're right. I could find. My life will be just fine with that.
Yeah.
My life would be just fine. And we
could be over it. Yeah.
We could be over it.
A lot of players do that in that situation.
We could absolutely be over it.
Didn't Jerry say he offered him to be the highest paid non-quarterback?
Yeah.
So we're talking well over $40 million.
Yeah. He was.
It depends on how you define that. I think he was talking about guaranteed at time of signing.
Yeah.
The guaranteed money?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're looking at he's making more than Myles Garrett. Like, I don't think there's any way they haven't offered him north of 40. There's no chance. Like, you talking about this $34 million figure, I just think that's unrealistic.
You don't understand how the Cowboys work then. This is the same thing that they did with Tank 10 years ago.
No, I think I know exactly how the Cowboys work, Gavin. You can go look at Brandon Laurie and his Twitter thread right now, and this is nothing new. You're acting like the whole agent push-out is something surprising and different. It's not, and it's not fascinating. This is exactly what they do all the time. They did the same thing with Dak. They did the same thing with CD. They're going through the same. I mean, you can go back. Michael Irvin's talking about it now. Troy Aikman's talking about it. DeMarcus Ware, Tony Romo.
What specifically are you talking about, Wolchuk?
And then what ended up happening? They paid exactly what the player wanted. Emmitt Smith wanted to be the highest paid running back in football, and that's what they made him. They gave him 13.6. Barry Sanders was at 13.5. So Mike is going to end up getting more than what Myles Garrett got. That's how this is going to go. So I don't think there's anything that's like super wow, polarizing, this is stunning, this is shocking. We've seen how this plays out.
Zach, let me ask you that. If in fact that they offered him $41 million or $42 million, why is he not come forward and say, let's do this then?
He might. I don't know. David Mulugheta wants to be able to negotiate this. That's the reason.
No,
because the agent and the owner haven't
like
talked.
To me, there's if the offer in fact is north of $40 million, there's no reason for Micah Parsons to still be a holdout. No reason.
The reason is the agent hasn't been involved. And now we've got a standoff between two very ego and proud people, and nobody wants to pick up the phone, unfortunately.
Well, Chuck, they've showed you what kind of deals they do early, and they're very team friendly.
Yeah, this one's not going to be one.
You're right, because it's not going to get done.
Because it's not going to be team friendly. And nor should Micah want it to be.
Because they haven't offered over 40.
I think that they absolutely did offer over 40.
Well, they maybe new money. Maybe like 4 and 160 new, plus what's on the 5th-year option, plus what's on a tag, but it's going to average under 40 for sure. This thing's going to come in. Let's get a show bet going here, Wolchuk.
That's fine. Because I'm absolutely down. If you think this is going to come in under 40 million, yes. I think you are crazy.
Total APY under 40 for sure, if it gets done at some point in the next couple of weeks.
Well, I don't believe it is. I think he's going to be playing at $24 million. He's going to get his $21 million guaranteed. I don't think this thing does get done now. Well,
and that's like the fourth time you revised it. You were telling us going into camp that Micah was going to practice every day and that this thing was going to get done. I mean, you're revising it all the time too.
We get new information. I thought that, yes, Micah would practice. And he has. He's been there every day. It's not like Micah has not been out there. He hasn't actually just put his pads on. But he's been out there with the team and working out. He just, unfortunately, we didn't get him out there practicing. But I think to say, like, Micah's not going to get over 40 and the Cowboys were offering over 40 is not what we've heard come from any of these reports from Jerry.
Well, he said he gave you the guaranteed number, $200 million. I was going to give him the most for a non-quarterback. He didn't say how many years that was.
I will say
you could offer 5 years and 200 plus this year. That's 6 years and $224 million.
We got to stand there with Jerry Jones in front of us at the media party, which you were not present at, and I got to hear what he had to say. So say whatever you want. I'm just going to go with what we were able to hear.
What was that? So you're just going to play a mystery card like, hey,
no,
I have evidence that you didn't see?
It's exactly what I said, that the offer was over $40 million. He was going to be paid the highest defensive player in NFL history.
Was it clarified? Is that new money or is that total APY?
I think that's semantics.
No, it's not. It's the average of your contract.
I think it's APY, and it is absolutely guaranteed.
Oh, okay.
I think it's both.
All right. If you're going to call me out like that, please have a better explanation than what you just delivered over the last 3 minutes. Wolchuk.
I don't know what was wrong about the explanation.
I don't know what was wrong either, but I can't tell you what's right.
Okay.